Hi everyone, we hope you are enjoying our Closer Than Ever virtual conference so far. Hi, my name is Holly and I am the Program Service Coordinator at the Chromosome 18 Registry and Research Society. We're really excited that you joined us today for the Outdoor Occupational Therapy session with Kristen, Earl, and Teague, Grubel. Today's session is pre-recorded. If you miss a session, don't worry, they will be available after the conference. You'll be sent an email with more details after the conference is over. Just to let you know, we won't be recording the self-advocate or the sibling panel. I have a few quick announcements and housekeeping items before we get started. If you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to type them into the chat box and one of our staff will get back with the presenter after the session and get you your answer. Also, please remember to turn off your camera and mute yourself during the presentation. We really appreciate it. Don't forget that our silent auction is still going on. We'll go ahead and pop that link into the chat box, and when you have some time, check out our awesome items and hopefully bid on a few for you and your family. Also, we hope that you got some Chromosome 18 merchandise, but if you haven't placed an order yet, no worries. We will go ahead and put that link into the chat as well, and hopefully you'll get a nice t-shirt or bag, some nice joggers for you and your family. I do have one really exciting announcement. Our Starfish Family Fun Night and Table Touring event is coming up later this evening. If you'd like to get a table for your family, I will go ahead and put that link into the chat as well. And please go to that link and reserve a table for your family later this evening. Before we get started with the presentation, I wanted to share just a little bit more about our presenters. So Teague Grubel has his bachelor's degree in healthcare administration and just earned his master's degree in occupational therapy at Western Michigan University. He completed his fieldwork in Alaska as an outpatient pediatric clinic and in a skilled nursing facility with Kristen, Earl. He's worked as a youth autism specialist and has volunteered as an adaptive ski instructor. Kristen Earl is a Chromosome 18 mom. She earned her bachelor's degree in business administration and later went on to earn her master's degree in occupational therapy. She's worked as an occupational therapist for the last 8 years in skilled nursing facilities, home health, and acute care settings. She is a mom to 3 kids with special needs. And we really appreciate Kristen Earl and Teague Grubel sharing this information with us, sharing this presentation. We hope that you find the resources and information really helpful. So without further ado, we will go ahead and get started with the Outdoor Occupational Therapy presentation.
Hi, my name is Teague Grubel. I'm an occupational therapy student at Western Michigan University, and this is my presentation on the therapeutic benefits of nature and practical applications for parents. And so to start out, I'm going to show you a video, and I would like you to consider how you feel before watching this video and how you feel after watching the video. And so let me pull the video up.
We leave you this Sunday morning with a desert in bloom at California's Anza Borrego Desert State Park.
And back to the presentation. Okay, so how do you feel after watching that video? Maybe more relaxed? I took a couple deep breaths. I definitely feel a little more relaxed, a little better. And I've noticed, at least for myself, I feel the same way after I spend some time actually outside, not just watching videos of it. So that's kind of a sneak preview of some of the benefits you can get from spending time outside. All right. And so there's quite a bit of research supporting the therapeutic benefits of nature. Um, and it's also like a growing, burgeoning area of research as well. It's a big part of the culture here in the United States and pretty much everywhere, I'm assuming. And it's also a resource that's available to everyone, whether you live in Alaska or Australia, Japan, I don't know, anywhere. There's parks, your backyard, forests, streams, lakes. So it's something that's generally easily accessible for most people. And so it's a perfect tool to use with kids and with adults. And so this is a screenshot from an article titled Nature, Contact, and Human Health, a Research Agenda by Frumkin et al. And this really nicely lists out some of the benefits. So I'll just go over a handful of these. But reduced stress, better sleep, improved mental health, reduced anxiety and depression, greater happiness, well-being, and life satisfaction, reduced aggression, reduced ADHD symptoms, and lower blood pressure, and on down the list. And then these are some of the specific studies that were cited in that previous study. Bayer et al. Found that higher levels of neighborhood green space correlated with better mental health outcomes as measured by the depression, anxiety, and stress scales. I'm not going to try and pronounce that last name, but they found that children who had access to more natural play areas tended to score higher in physical testing compared to kids who only had access to playgrounds. Another study found that reduced ADHD symptoms, lower emotional symptoms, and less peer relationship problems were associated with children who spent more time playing in green or blue spaces or who lived in greener areas. And then Yunan et al. Found reduced aggression in adolescents associated with short and long-term exposure to neighborhood green space. And just to clarify, green space is space outside where you're exposed to green trees, green grass, etc. And blue space is outdoor space where you're close to water. So lakes, rivers, streams, oceans, etc. But how does this apply to kids? So all of these benefits are similar or the same for kids. In addition to things like integration of the senses, it can help facilitate creativity and play and aids in healthy development. So looking at this picture, what sort of performance skills can you recognize that these kids are using? They're both receiving tactile and sensory input, the girl especially digging in the dirt with her hands or fingers. They're both strengthening all of the limbs of the upper body from the fingers to the arms and the shoulder by digging through the dirt, which is giving them nice resistance and stuff. The boy, the way he's digging with the shovel is a lot of pronation, supination with the hand, and also working on grasp with the shovel, motor planning, and then stereognosis as far as the girl being able to identify things in the dirt that she's digging around, whether it's a rock or a worm, maybe a potato. You never know. And here's another picture. And so some of the skills that these kids can be working on or developing: balance, core strength, motor planning again. They're receiving proprioceptive and vestibular input from running up and jumping along the log. And then there's also the added elements of like turn taking and social reciprocity, since you're clearly going in an order, and yeah, you have to learn to get along. And so these are just a couple examples that kind of highlight all the things that can help, that you can develop and work on when kids are spending time outdoors. So how can you apply this to your child? In what you provide your kids to play with, that's going to influence what they do in their free time, what's available to them, what you make available to them, where you take them, whether it's a park, a state park, a national park, your backyard, whatever is available to you. And then also in the types of play that you facilitate with them. And so here's some ideas for activities. I won't read off all of these because that would get kind of boring, but just hit on a few of them. So for vestibular input, anything like swinging, rolling down a hill, sledding, if it's wintertime, making a snow angel, balancing on a log, walking on a log like we saw, walking on uneven ground can be great for forcing kids to adapt and work on their gait. Climbing a tree, you can do scavenger hunts to help them with visual discrimination and visual scanning. For more fine motor themed activities, you can pick berries, pulling weeds, drawing or writing on the sidewalk with chalk. Whittling wood with a knife is a really good one as well. And also hits on force modulation and kind of that control of force in the hands and upper extremities. And then just digging in a garden, your hands or with tools. And there are even more ideas. So you can make a fort using materials you find outside, like sticks, branches, trees. Obstacle courses are pretty good and easy to set up and change around so they don't get bored. Scavenger hunts, and there's a ton of ideas for scavenger hunts available on Pinterest. You do stuff with pumpkins, painting them, hammering golf tees into them. And then making and decorating mud pies is another one. And these are links to lists of even more activity ideas if you run through all these in a couple of weeks. And they have even more, and they're all occupational therapy based as well. And so a big part of spending time outside is sensory integration. And so if you think about it, there aren't very many other places where you can spend time where you are receiving input to all 5 of your senses at the same time. And so if you're outside, you feel the wind or the sun or the rain or the snow on your face, so you're feeling it. You can touch like a tree branch or the bark or the grass. You obviously sight, seeing, depending on the season, maybe green grass, maybe brown grass, flowers, snow, etc. There's always certain smells outside as well, whether it's water, the earth, whether it's damp or dry or dead leaves, things like that. And then auditory, you hear the birds, you hear the wind in the trees, and all those other noises that are outside. And so you're kind of being surrounded by all these, you're receiving input from all your senses at once, but in a way that's not overwhelming. And Angela Hanscom, who is an occupational therapist and author, and who's really big on outdoors therapy, described it as calm and alert. And it's like that perfect level where you can be calm and it's not overwhelming, because kids can get overstimulated pretty often, but you're also alert. It's like that perfect medium kind of sensory input. And it's not a lot of other places where you get that. And then, so these are some examples of speech therapy aspects of the outdoors, or things you can do with kids to help develop their speech. You can ask kids to imitate the sounds they hear, like birds or a squirrel or dog barking or something. For picky eaters, having children help grow things in the garden might make them more apt to try them that they were more refusing to try before. And then being outside provides increased opportunities for language learning and expansion by increased novel sights, sounds, experiences, just more things to talk about and point out, like, oh, like, what do you see over there? Or what's that bird doing? Or things like that. And also increased variety for parallel language. Like I just said, you can point things out and verbalize what they are, and kids have the opportunity to copy what you say and learn new words. And then there's also increased opportunities for movement outdoors versus in an indoor clinic, which movement can help facilitate learning in children. And then from this section is taken from a book by Angela Hanscom called, the titles and the references, I'll get to that later, but it's about loose parts, and it's all about creating an outdoor play space for your child that facilitates creativity and just positive interactions, and also hits on a lot of these therapeutic skills that we touch on in therapy as well. So you can leave loose parts around the yard, like wooden planks, tires, rocks, sticks, gutters, you name it, whatever you're comfortable with them playing with. And you can rotate these items in and out. So maybe one week they have some rocks, next week they have pieces of wood. And this kind of ever-changing set of things to play with outside or mess with helps facilitate creativity, imagination, and self-directed play. So it's not an adult out there telling them what they should do or what they could do. It's more left up to them, self-directed. And by changing things in and out, it prevents them getting stale or doing the same thing over and over again. So it forces them to be creative in what they do. And then variety is another big aspect of the outdoor play space. So areas with a variety of elements, such as streams, the beach, wooded areas, or lots of puddles, just kind of another added layer of variety for the kids to do different things with. And then just keep it simple. It doesn't have to be a giant fancy play set that's thousands of dollars. Just whatever you have available in your backyard. And it forces them to get creative and figure out what they can do with what they have. And so for further reading, the book I was referencing was Balanced and Barefoot by Angela Hanscom, which I would definitely recommend if this is an area that you're interested in. And these are all other great resources. And then here are some locations around the world, actually, that provide outdoor occupational therapy services for children. Timbernook is a big one. They have locations in quite a few states, as you can see, and in Canada, Australia, and London. So that could be something to look into. And then here's a couple more places in California and Georgia in the United States. So Outdoor Kids OT and Kids Creek. And that's my presentation. Thank you. And I hope